In this lesson, we'll take a look at the contour composite output node. So by using this contour composite node for outputting our contour renders, we can start to get cleaner, smoother contour results, as well as fix some errors that we can run into whenever using certain contour shaders. So for example, in this scene I have the depth fade contour shader applied to my scene, and we'll take a quick render at what we have right now. And this is what we get. And if you've had a chance to take a look at the lesson dealing with the depth fade contour node, you'll see that we actually do run into some drawing errors as far as this node is concerned. So the nodes that, or rather the shapes that should be behind, are actually rendered and drawn out in front. So we start to get some of these odd overlaps that actually should not be happening as far as these lines are concerned. So this is one of the issues that we can fix by using the contour composite node. So I'm going to save this render for comparison, and we can drop this node in by using the hypershade, or we can actually connect this in the camera itself, since this will be applied as an output shader to the camera. So let's do it this way. Let's go to View, select Camera, and take a look inside the attributes, and we'll scroll down to the Metal Ray section. So we'll scroll down just a little bit further. Just below the Metal Ray tab, once this is expanded, you should now see an area for the output shaders. So we'll scroll down, and here within the output shaders, we can now create a new output shader that will write out whatever data that we want. So let's make a new output shader. There we go, that'll make a new output pass for us. And now, all we have to do is connect in the shader that will be written for us. So in this case, we'll use the contour composite node. So just click on the checkered button, we'll scroll down, and we'll add the contour composite output shader. There we go. Now, once we hit render, what this will do is now write the data out to some kind of a frame buffer, which can then be read back in. Now, the issue that we're going to run into is that whenever we first hit render, we'll actually receive an error. You'll notice that once we render, nothing happens, but if we take a look inside the output window, for every time we tried to hit render, we were returned with an error that says that this perspective shape doesn't know how to read this contour composite node. And really this is an error that occurs whenever Maya initially tries to set up and connect this contour composite node. So fortunately this is a problem that is really easy to fix. All we have to do is go back to the Utilities tab, find our contour composite node, take a look at the input and output connections, and you'll see here's the composite node connected to our pass that we just created. So to get this working correctly, really all we have to do is simply disconnect the shader and then reconnect it again. And once we do this, then the shader will be connected correctly. And this applies to most of the other contour nodes or the output shaders. And this is a problem that happens with almost every version of Maya. So if this happens, simply disconnect the shader, reconnect it, and now once we render, you'll see that this will now render out correctly. So let's close this. So if you compare what we have now to what we had before, you can definitely see the difference, especially in this area. So this is what we have now compared to what we have before, and you can see how this has done a great job of eliminating some of these drawing errors that we had before. As well as that, you can also see that the line quality of our contour lines have now increased quite a bit. So really what this particular node is doing is taking the output data of our contours, it's writing that out to a separate pass and then compositing it back over the render image, hence the name composite. So we do have a few options as far as the overall look of this. If we want to enable a glow feature, we can do that, and that will basically try to soften out the edges of these contours and make them appear as though they have a glowing effect. So you can start to see how that will kind of blur these edges out compared to what we have before. However, once we enable that feature, you will see that we do find some little spots and little dots in our overall render. So what we can do to fix that is go back to the composite node, enable the max comp, which will give us a much cleaner result whenever using the glow feature. And there we go. So now we have these contour lines that are composited correctly over our final rendered image. We now have this glow feature enabled to kind of soften out these actual contour lines And with the max comp feature enabled, we can now start to eliminate some of these spotty, noisy results that we had a moment ago. Alright, so that's a look at how we can utilize this contour compositing shader.